Okay, we're live. Welcome everybody who may be watching now or anyone who will be watching later. I'm Sam Brooks, and today I have a live stream, which is kind of obvious, I guess. But I'm going to be, as the title suggests, unboxing some sets that are 7 years old, along with something that's a little bit more recent. And hopefully at some point in the next little bit, I will have some guests. Not sure when, but that's okay. So basically the background here is the stuff that I'm building today is DC. And with DC, I really got into Batman as a character because of the Lego video game and the sets way back in 2008. That was my entry point to the Batman franchise. But for years, I still didn't really get into like superheroes and stuff like that. Hey, Jor-El Studios, welcome. And I wasn't really into like superheroes in general till like the MCU kind of kicked into high gear in 2012. Anyway, with DC, I liked Batman because of the video game, the original Lego game, and the second one. And the second game was what kind of introduced me to the Justice League and all that. But in 2013 was when I discovered like a wider, like I began to appreciate the greater DC universe. And as bizarre as it is, it's because of a movie that not a lot of people, well, it has a mixed fan base, and that being Man of Steel, the Superman movie that kicked off the current DC franchise. And yes, the Lego Batman video games were GOAT, Jor-El Studios. So yeah, so I really did. I saw Man of Steel opening night, and actually, funny enough, or the reason the stream is today is because, according to Google, the movie came out 7 years ago today. So this is actually the 7th anniversary of my, well, Man of Steel isn't art or anything. It is, an anniversary in the sense that what it did for me afterwards with discovering DC, and that started 7 years ago today. So I really liked the movie back when it came out. There was a period where I didn't like it, but I was going through a phase where I was like really going with what critics were saying, and I was, it was the same time where I didn't like the prequels either and all that stuff. And luckily, those are things that I've kind of gotten over, and now I form my own opinions on. So back in 2013, after seeing the movie, I originally got Lego-wise the little Man of Steel set. I think it's called Metropolis Showdown, something like that. And that was all I had. I didn't get any of the other things just because I had other priorities back then. But that is actually what we're getting into today. I have over 3 Bricklink orders, which were actually my first real Bricklink orders. I have a haul video that I've shot that I just haven't gotten around to putting up yet. I was hoping to get it up before this, but been working quite a bit. So anyway, the first thing I'm going to show you, and it'll be the first thing I opened because it's not 7 years old. It was mainly just because I realized I could complete some stuff by getting it. I picked up the 2016 Batman v Superman Batmobile Polybag, and that's what I'll be getting into first in a couple minutes here. We have 76009, Black Zero Escape, 168 pieces. Still sealed. Everything here, of course, is still sealed. It's kind of like my caveat when it comes to buying sets sometimes. We have 76003 Battle of Smallville, 418 pieces. This one I always wanted back when it was out. I really liked the modern look of the Jeep, and the dropship actually is pretty reflective of what's in the movie. And I'm also really excited about these armored Zod figure and the other armored Kryptonians. And then finally, to complete this level, the thing that actually took the longest to arrive, which is kind of funny because it was the first thing I ordered, the Jor-El Polybag from 2013, which was a giveaway with Lego Shop at Home. If you spent about $75 or something like that, you got this for free. I did not. I paid about $13 for that, which I think is pretty fair. So yeah, I'm going to be unboxing and building and showing off all four of these older products today. And yeah, waiting on this one here to see if anyone shows up before I start into it. But I don't know. I guess we're just gonna start. So yeah, so we're gonna start with the Batmobile because it's the thing here I'm least excited about getting into. Basically, the main reason why I got this, it was gonna be. This was $20, but it was gonna take another $15 to ship it to me. So I added this in just to make what I was shipping out make the shipping more attractive. Thank you, RL Studios. I do think these sets are awesome as well, and I'm looking forward to getting into them. I'm still waiting to see if anyone in my group is going to show up. I built the Minion set over the last few days. I purposely messed up the eyes. Don't worry about that. I gotta say, I was really hesitant when this theme was announced. And I do have the other one, came out, the bike, and the bike really is kind of a pathetic set. The figures are good. But these two buildable minions are pretty good. And I kind of want to try to do some video of them. The only real downside I have with the set, this is kind of turning into a little review here, is the fact that you have to take apart this one, build the other one. I kind of wish they either didn't have that feature, like just have you build the two. I know there's three, or make the price a little bit more and allow you to build all three. But at the same time, also they could have had this idea. They could have packaged the two of them as a larger set and then packaged the other one as a smaller, like $30 set. So it'd be kind of like an entry point if the kid couldn't afford or the parents didn't want to pay for the larger one. There's also a small one, but I guess that would also kind of cannibalize the sales of that one. Anyway, let's get into what we're here for. So, open the first setup here. And I'm just opening this carefully because I saved most of my packaging. Yeah, I'm like Brickitect in that way. Cool. Look at the instructions, I guess. Only 17 steps, so it, isn't a complicated build by any means. It is 63 pieces, so that's pretty good for a polybag. Some nostalgia there. the 3 sets from Batman v Superman. I do have all those. That's another reason why I got this polybag is now because I got these sets that I was missing, I own every Lego product that was packaged and branded for a DCEU film. I say packaged and branded because I do not have the Suicide Squad Harley Quinn from the Lego movie, and I probably never. That figure goes for about $50 now on their own, and I just really want that on Apocalypse Work. So far, so good. Hold that down so you can see the parts there. Thank you, RL Studios, for sharing the stream with some others. There are, as far as I know, there are going to be other people here eventually. Not rushing them or anything, but I had to do the stream now, and it's possible that time wasn't best suited, but that's okay. It's kind of it's an interesting experience, when you're like building a set that's been sealed for quite a while, because it feels almost you know what I'm saying. It feels weird when like these parts have been in this bag, never used since most likely late 2015, because the polybag would have came out like January 2016. So it's a long time, especially in the case of the other sets that have been sealed for 7 years. Now, luckily, I paid less than retail in Canadian money for all 3 of the Man of Steel. Well, the 2 minute steel sets. I guess the Jor-El Polybag doesn't really have a sale value. I paid less than retail for both of them, so I have no issue with opening them. Kind of cool. I don't know if you can make that out, but they have you turn these clips, turn them down and then turn them at an angle so they have like a angled look for some of the fins that the in-universe design for the Batmobile had. This goes. That goes on there. And the Batman, the Superman Batmobile Polybag is done. And just 1 second here, let me grab something for you. So there we have the full-scale edition, the Superman Batmobile compared to the Polybag. I actually kind of like it. I don't typically really care about the micro scale type polybags, but I do think that this at the time was one of the better Batmobile designs in cinema. So I like having a mini scale version. I also have the micro tumbler from years ago as well. So it's kind of cool to have like a continuation. And then you have the Justice League Batmobile from the Flying Fox. And that's kind of a part of this too. I'm also kind of celebrating the Snyder Cut getting confirmed, because at the end of the day, it's not even. Obviously, I don't like the Justice League movie we got, and I'm not. I'm gonna be honest. I'm not sure if director's cut will be better or if it could possibly be worse. I personally think Batman v Superman's director cut was a much better movie than the original cut. But like at the end of the day, the thing I'm more excited about is the fact that the director was allowed to finish his project, because I really don't like the idea of studio heads messing with it. And that's probably just because I always kind of wanted to go into film too. So I don't like the idea of having to wrestle with uh, a studio to make the film that I want to make. So I'm glad that he's getting the opportunity to do that. And that was kind of the start of all this, because when that happened, I decided to order the Man of Steel sets that I was missing, just to like have the complete collection. So yeah. So I'll get these out of the way. So we have our first build of the day done. And um, so now we're gonna get into the Jor-El Polybag. This is, of course, obviously gonna be a much more simpler build. But I'm excited about getting into this one too, because I've wanted this figure for the 7 years since it was first revealed. And again, I'm gonna be careful about how I open this. I always kind of thought the packaging was kind of funny with this. I remember when this first revealed, this first leaked years ago, and I actually went back before I ordered this and looked it up to see if that was what I was remembering was true. The vast majority of us thought that this was a fake, like that this wasn't real, when an image just popped up online, because the Photoshop job is really bad on the graphics. Like it doesn't look well rendered. Even if you look at his face, it almost looks like the beard is sticking out of the figurehead. So like, I remember people like Just Too Good and even Brickset thinking that this wasn't legitimate until it was posted by LEGO themselves, and then we realized that it was. So because of that, store the packaging, I'm going to take extra care to open this. Go along the back seam. There we go. Okay, I don't know why that's not cutting. Okay. We're just gonna go with that. I should be able to get everything out now. Okay. And I'm just glad in general to get some of these things, because anything that I can get from 2013 is a win, because 2013 was a really good year for a lot of the themes that I collect, and even themes that I don't normally collect that I wish I did back then, like Lone Ranger, because the Western vibe, and Back to the Future with the DeLorean, which I regret to this day that I didn't get. And these Man of Steel sets that are now checked off, and plus some Star Wars sets. There's a lot of Star Wars sets that I regret not getting in that time period. And I actually ironically tried to get some this week, and it might work out, but I'm not 100% sure yet, so I'm not going to comment any further on that at this time. One thing I'm noticing right out of the bag is that this figure is a different quality. This figure comes from China, like the Chinese factories, which at the time were the same place the CMFs were coming from. And you can tell that by some of the production stamps being different. The cape is also same quality, but same feel, but starchier. There we have Jor-El from 2013. Brown cape. It's funny, at the end of the day, I don't know if this fully really looks the most like the character. The face does. I think the head looks a lot like Russell Crowe, but he had like a suit of armor on in the movie, uh, which I just think it's kind of sad that we never got that. Yeah, it's a really good figure, and one that I'm happy to add to the collection. Put that over there with that. So yeah. So far, it's been fun to open these, but now we're getting into like the really interesting stuff by opening. Well, I mean, that Polybag was 7 years old, but now we're gonna be opening some sets from 2013, and I start with this one. Just go, largest to or smallest to largest. Show off back there again some of the features. This one, I gotta say, I only really ordered this one because it was cheap, and mainly because with everything else, I could say it was like the collection was complete. It was mainly more about getting Smallville and Jor-El, but as well go all in when it's affordable. And right out of the gate, the first thing that I'm excited to look at, the little comic book that was included. This was like a really interesting thing that they used to do with the superhero sets that I thought was very inspired. The Burner 7106 is hi, welcome. Back when they used to include the comics with superhero sets, I thought that was a really good idea because, of course, they're based on comic books. I remember when like these ones and the Iron Man 3 sets came out, people were like freaking out analyzing these comics to see if possibly they could get any kind of plot information about the movie. And I gotta say, I don't think there were like major plot spoiler. I mean, they didn't have dialogue in these comics either. It was mainly just giving you some suggestions of what to do with the sets. It's kind of funny that in this comic, Superman has a different hairpiece than he does in the sets. That's kind of cool, showing the a rendering of the Black Zero ship, which never got made into a set, obviously. And I've never had this one because it didn't come with the littlest set. Some nice artwork and all that. I mean, obviously, like these sets never. The Man of Steel one, the ones based off movies, didn't necessarily need comic books. And I think that's why they went away because number one, it was just something they could cut for cost, and number two, it wasn't as necessarily, like okay, think about the vast majority of DC sets that have come out for a while were based on movies, like 2017 to 2000, which is when they stopped, to 2019. Pretty much the only DC sets they made were either based off Justice League, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, or the Lego Batman movie. And then once they got back to last year with some Batman comic sets, it was they weren't doing it anymore. And Marvel was mostly, for a long time, movie sets, especially 2017 as well. I always liked the back of this too, where it had like all the figures that were coming out that year and the previous year. And especially back at this point, I was really especially into DC figure collecting, which I mean, I guess that technically hasn't changed. But yeah, so there's that. Let's see what else is in here. Bag one, very tightly packed. This is the one thing I thought was funny is this box is really thin, but it was really like you could tell it was stuffed. We got. I'm happy to report, despite it being stickers, I'm happy to report that they're in pretty good condition, which is good considering the instruction booklet is not in the best shape. Since we just got the two bags, just by looking at them, I can say that this is the escape pod, and this is like the little playset type build, so I'll get into that first. I gotta say, like, I've never really shopped on Brooklink before this. I did do one order in December, but that was, I had a friend who, like, in the area of where I live, who used to have, like, a Lego store type thing where they sold used sets, but they ended up having to close the store at some point last year, and so they just moved on to Brooklink, so it was just an order. It was like I paid for it, like I placed the order, he picked it, and then I went to his place and picked up the order and paid for it there type thing. It wasn't like a massive, it didn't come over multiple orders. But this one did. Interesting that there's two of these. I would assume they're both the capes, but nowadays you'd see them packaged together. But yeah, I gotta say, Brooklink is a great tool in the fan community. Of course, that's not big news. Everyone's known that for years. There's Superman's cape there. But this is really, shown me how intricate they are, and it's just so helpful because, like, I've wanted these sets for years, and it took me about a day to decide that I was going to get it, and then I got them. It was easy, and it, shipping wasn't that bad. Wrong face. We have the Man of Steel Clark Kent, or Kal-El Superman. Of course, I already have this figure from way back when. It's cool to have another one after all because it is like a figure that I really like. Has the double-sided face with the first. This was the first time Superman had laser eyes, so that was really cool. I like the torso. I like the legs. It's kind of funny to go back to the stiff, papery capes, but then again, so did Star Wars in general right now. So it's not, it's not new. And we have Zod, who I also already have. However, this time we have the special Zod with the armor that I thought was like such a cool. Look at that piece. Brand new. One thing I don't like about this figure, and I've seen it, I watched some videos after I bought this, and I saw people also kind of talking about this all the way back then. Zod spends the majority of the movie in this armor, but with his helmet off. And the sad thing is you can't really, the hairpiece won't go on with that armor on, which is unfortunate. Figure out something to do about that. Zod also has laser eye face. And then we have the very well made helmet mold that goes over the armor to complete the look. And that's a really good looking figure. And he has here. Very nice looking sci-fi alien gun. So now I'll actually get into building the set and all that. One thing I miss about modern Lego sets here is that the stickers will tell you where to or which one to use. Sometimes they look very similar. That one went on pretty good. Again, as I said earlier, I'm not 100% in love with this set. And it was mainly about completing things. I got it. I kind of like this thing, and that's just because I've always kind of had a liking of the sets that had doors, and I don't know. I'm just kind of rambling right now. Should be that one. Yeah. That sticker went on pretty well as well. So we have this part done, which has the door and actually has kind of a nice little mechanism that's built in there that keeps it from not falling out. It's held in place there. And also from going too far over. It holds it in place, so that's pretty cool. This set has just a very unconventional build type thing, like weird shapes and all that. That was odd. Thought I heard something. We have one of those nice chrome grills up there. This is a feature that I'm interested to see how it works. If it works well. Ow. So the way this works, if I'm correct, is that these missiles are just free sitting in here. They're not attached to anything. They're not like the standard flick fire missile piece. And if you flick back on this black bar here, because it uses those rubberized Technic pins, it'll shoot them out. So that's kind of cool. Got another nice little sticker there that shows like the control pad to launch the escape pod and type thing. That where that goes. An everyday vlogs, biggest fan. Hello, welcome. No, there isn't very many here. I'm actually going to be doing something about that in a second. This area here, that I'm still to this day not 100% sure what this is supposed to be. This little catwalk here. I don't know if the idea is you're supposed to like park the escape pod next to it, and it's kind of like, I don't know. Let's see if the instructions say at the end exactly what I'm supposed to do with that. I'm not sure. Anyway, so that's bag one done. Now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put a pause on the stream for a while and see if I can come back later and do the rest of this set and the Battle of Smallville once I get a hold of my guests. So thank you for tuning in so far, and I will see you guys later.